Hey y'all, good evening, good evening, good evening, happy night, happy evening, happy Thursday, happy everything. Whatever you're feeling today, just call it happy. If you're happy, if you're sad, just call it happy sad day. I don't know how to mix it up for you until we really get into what's going on with you today. But for the time being, welcome and welcome back to another episode of the B Mix right here on BExposedRadio.com. Thank you for coming back or coming on. I you know what I realized I didn't do for the new year, y'all? I think I didn't. I think I thought I didn't, and then I might have, and I can't remember. That's the problem. Y'all ever try to figure out something that you know? We might get into this later. I'm gonna just stay right here with it now. You ever realize like that there was a block of time that you remembered, right? And I'm probably just talking to my folks that barely remember anything like me. And there was a block of time or a certain, scene or scenario that you remembered. And then now sometimes it's gone on. Now you just don't remember that block. Like that's just out of your range of what you remember. I know it's not just me, but it's fine. If that's what makes y'all feel better, then we're just gonna go with that. That's just me. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being a loner, but I know that I'm not alone because this show is for everybody. The unseen, the unheard, the forgotten, whether it be the forgotten part of you or for the person that just doesn't belong anywhere than me. So welcome. Welcome to your safe space. This is my safe space. So I'm sharing it with you. Is that okay? If it's not, it's going to be. Before we get into some things, I got a few announcements. Okay. Govern yourselves accordingly. Okay. Wait a minute. Let me make sure everybody got this because let me share this out before I make these announcements. Make sure that everybody's getting in on this because this is what I need. I need everybody to get in on this because it's almost unbelievable for me, but it could just be me. Okay, I think I shared that out. Y'all let me know if y'all got that. Okay. First and foremost, I want to make y'all aware of something that I was just informed of. Okay. Apparently, since I eat chicken nuggets without sauce, I'm eating rocks. That's what I was told. That's what my producer just told me because he has the experience, y'all. So y'all watch yourselves going to the McDonald's here, okay? Apparently they out here handing out hot cakes without their syrup. What kind of no mess is that? Y'all, but this is the part that behooves me. Why am I producing and said, he said they gave him, sorry, y'all, I'm so tickled. They gave him, for his hotcakes, they gave him, with a hotcake platter, right? Gave him ketchup and butter. What he finna do with that ketchup? And then we got to talking about, who was putting that ketchup on their eggs? Ew, I'm sorry. I'm not judging because this is a non-judgmental place. Even though I was judged for not wanting sauce in my chicken nuggets as an adult. And apparently, again, I'm eating rocks because I've never heard that one. I've been judged for it, but moving on. But because they giving him the ketchup, I guess they're going his eggs. Why this thing then said they gave him a chicken box, baby? An embryo box? I'm sick of it. I'm telling y'all right now, I almost canceled the show 2 minutes ago. I did. I almost did because he makes me sick. So that was for my producer because he definitely makes me sick. But on to like a more serious announcement. Govern yourselves accordingly. Yet again, y'all. I had to share this just because I just saw it a few hours ago. I don't know if y'all caught and been not even if you have to be like keeping up with, because I mean, what is there to really keep up with beside I'm surprised and I'm not gonna say proud, but I am surprised that they're actually putting forth some effort to, catch these folk, what they call them, the insurrectionists, the folks that, the monkeys and jigaboos that ran up and through y'all national capital. How do we spell it last week, y'all? That's CAPITOL. Okay. I know it's been tearing y'all up. I know, Stink. It's CAPITOL. That's what got them folk, all they was running all up and through there. They were not running through the capital as in a capital letter. Okay. Capital letter as in the mommy letter versus the baby letter. That's not what they were running through. They were running through the nation's capital, Capitol. Okay. That one's for you. Okay. And so, child, the one that, and I don't know how really to distinguish him, but they referred to him in the article that I caught as, it's not fun, as Captain Confederacy. I said I wasn't going to laugh about that. Excuse me. Do you know this thing was a professional fireman here in Baltimore City? Again, because I know I yelled a little bit last week, and I want to say I apologize, but I really don't. We're going to get into that. Things just about me that I've realized in recent time. Just in 2021. What are we? 14 days in? How we get? Ooh, my. Yeah, halfway through the first month of the year. My God. Okay. Moving on. But I know I yelled a little bit last week talking about y'all shouldn't be surprised. And I still feel that way, but I want to apologize in case it was a little hard to receive, I guess, because it really wasn't. But I'm trying to respect everybody's feeling. Like, I'm working on it. But it's not that it surprised me to find out that he was a fireman, but I don't know, for lack of a better word, surprised, maybe shocked, maybe honestly taken aback. Like, it really just brought, y'all know my word, even from last year, we're going to keep on going with it. Reflective, okay? Reflection, self-reflection, if you will. So, like, when I reflected on it, just like, my elbows age. Yeah, I think that's, keep those down, because it took me a good old bath. That's 2 F's at the end of that. I didn't grease nothing, okay? Moving on. And so it just to find out that he's a fireman here. Like, so how does that make, like, y'all, this is why I still feel how I feel about the separation, right? Separation over segregation. That could be our movement. I'm just saying, it's kind of catchy, it's kind of cute. It could work. But this is why, because just thinking about it, like, so you mean to tell me if my house caught fire, and you got the guy that was proud to run through the Capitol, right? Waving the Confederate flag, with his son, nonetheless, like, babes, like his son. And so I know that it's talking about the father. It just said along with his son. So I'm assuming the son also turned himself in Delaware, but the father did. That's what I know. King Confederacy or Captain Confederacy turned himself in just earlier today up in Delaware. And bruh, like I said, was a fireman here. Like, it just took me, like, read it, like, wow. Again, wasn't really surprised or shocked, but just like, wow. Like, we already know, like, of the other armed forces. So we know the, the police force, right? We know that there are, racist members, all up and through there. But when you just think of different areas, like, oh man, we are just, Anywho's. It kind of takes us into our topic for tonight. But yeah, that's just let that, just ponder on that a little bit. Y'all let me know if y'all feel some type of way, and if we need to revisit that, because I don't want to move on from that, kind of like open that up, because it's a thing for me and I'm just working through it. I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's not a huge thing, but it's not something I need to like stay on and linger on for a long period of time. But I definitely felt like I wanted to share that because, like I said, I was just like, all right, whatever. I really hope y'all don't be out here screenshot me. I stay making some faces on here, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna go ahead and press on through here like that. So the promo for the show today, it always works out that I find like a meme or something, like a phrase, something that goes along with what I'm trying to get at for the night. And I don't know, I really think that's just gonna always be my vibe, unless I can't find that. The only thing I really was going to do until I found this thing that I ended up posting for the promo was like the caption that I posted with it, which was, what is your social resume? I like that. I went with that one first. And then, like I said, I found this, this, I guess it's a meme, even if it's just all words. I don't know. Young people, I don't know. Y'all be having me feel like I'm old and unhip, which I am, but uh, that a meme is it just pictures and something fun, something cute? I don't know. Moving on. But the promo that I posted for the show tonight reads, as you are shifting, you will begin to realize you are not the same person you used to be. The things you used to tolerate have now become intolerable. Where you once remained quiet, you are now speaking your truth. Where you once battled and argued, you are now choosing to remain silent. You are beginning to understand the value of your voice, and there are some situations that no longer deserve your time, energy, or focus. It says and focus, but it should say or, but either way, or focus. End quote. By anonymous, it didn't say whom's thought that was, so that's by anonymous. And so what y'all think about that? And that a lot to like to chew on. First of all, it acknowledges that we are shifting. That's for all of us. Y'all went to work with me today. When I tell you I'm tired, I think I might be at like my up and moving, like active, like 12-hour mark. And I think I can just feel myself just coming on down. Okay. I'm going to take me a little nap and get up and do all this work that I need to do that has to be out by the morning. But I am doing well because I'm in my mind and staying focused. Look at that. See? Time, energy, and focus. So it acknowledges that we all are shifting. What does that mean? Anybody feel like they're shifting? Anybody think that they're shifting? Have you planned to shift? Oof, that was my knee. I don't know if y'all heard that pop, baby. That felt good to me. I'm telling you that right now. I am so raw and authentic today. I'm telling y'all, like usually, but baby, today is definitely the day. So y'all went to bed with me. But that's what we are right here on B-Mix, on the B-Mix show anyway. So I'm just gonna have to kind of go with it. And if not, catch you next time. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Moving on. I loved you, but I don't want you to, go through and stick with my stuff if that ain't how you feeling today. I'm all about how you feel. Okay. Because that's what we're talking about today, about getting into like how we feel as, as a people, as ourselves, individuals, who we are, and more so of being aware of who we are, how we are is a big part. That's a big, big, big piece. That's where that social resume comes in. I see boss is doing what she want to do. I actually threw this little top knot up right before I got to say my intro, child, because no one went to work with me. Okay, you're lucky I tossed my bonnet on. If that didn't go against all my rules, okay, I toss my bonnet on here unless it's like a night special or something. I don't know. But have you planned to shift by now? And I'm probably jumping all around my notes now if I talk about. So I had a therapy session today. And it was actually supposed to be yesterday, but either way. And so I had a therapy session today, and I brought up the fact that I've actually had this conversation with someone like recently. I don't know if it was in the new year, might have been right before the new year. No, I think it was in the new year. Just a few days into it. And I had a place of like, what's interesting is to have conversations, whether with yourself or whomever, that like, you've either had with yourself before, or you've thought about, or even heard other people, especially in your close range. You've heard them have those conversations with themselves. And then when you have it with you, you're like, I know this is from a different place. Prime example that I've heard plenty of people say, like, oh, I haven't done enough, and oh, I feel unaccomplished, and this and that, right? Which I've, somewhat somewhere like had those feelings too, but I always had to be realistic with myself that a lot of the times I found myself that some things that I have obtained and accomplished could be looked upon as like, wow, I did it, earlier than either my close group of people, you know what I mean? Like family, friends, associates, or peers in general, age group or whatever. And so it's funny because I always have the opposite of myself. Like I know things about myself that I'm always like late to the party. That's funny both ways because I used to have a real bad problem with timeliness. I'm claiming that I'm better, even though we can't tell because we won't go nowhere, but don't worry about that. So, but now, like I said, I've heard people have those conversations with themselves or just, about themselves, or I've had those conversations with people again for themselves. And so then I've, somewhat like when you converse with others and talk about their stuff, it should allow you to, let's be very clear about this. It should urge you to not necessarily to interject yourself in that situation, but that's one, it's so good to just put yourself there in different ways, because one of the benefits is that it's a good practice for those that have issues with being empathetic, because I think I've said before on here, if not, I've definitely said it, that I believe that how people will say like, I'm not empathetic. I can't empathize with you. I don't know. I can only sympathize if I could, but I can't. So, right. So it's either, a sympathy or nothing. And so I believe that we all, if it's not already in you, it's definitely something you can practice and obtain and work toward, it being a characteristic or, something that you possess, like a skill or an ability that you possess. It may not necessarily be innate, so you weren't born with it, but okay, right? You can practice empathy. You can practice being empathetic. And so that's one way as to like when you hear other people's stuff. And that it doesn't necessarily mean it's only people that are close to you. It could be, people that are far off. You've heard of a celebrity going through something and you just put yourself there and you get to ask yourself, like, what would I do in this scenario? Like, that's what helps your brain juices get to flowing. Like, some of y'all that I get, I was about to say some small, my knee popped again. They cracked again. So I'm not claiming that my knee popped. I'm sorry. Let me use the right words. My knee cracked, not popped. Lord have mercy. I do not have time to be falling apart. Amen. But you get to, ask yourself, like, what will you do in that scenario? What, just something. And it's not necessarily, because what I was saying, I want to make clear today is that people, I think, misconstrue the good of that, the benefit of doing that, with when you hear somebody's stuff that you're like, oh no, I wouldn't, if I were to do that. Like, it's a right and wrong way to do everything. Am I right? I'm right about that. Right and wrong way to do absolutely everything. Okay. All thing. Okay. And so, while when you hear, like, I've apologized in conversation, like recently, just with my sister and all, like, we'll talk and I know, and I acknowledge that I guess I use the word interject, or just I relate it to myself, because I always explain, that's how I understand. That's how I am able to receive. That's how I perceive. Even though I'm not a self-centered person. So it's funny about me that there's a balance there, and I'm very well aware of that. So into like my social resume, that I always find myself using the word balance, use that word. I'm referring to myself earlier, even on my therapy session. I was talking about one thing and I was just like, yeah, I do this. I struggle with either all or nothing. But yet there's a balance in me that I'm able to, recognize that in my all phase, that, no, backwards. In my nothing phase, there we go. In my nothing phase, that I celebrate my small wins, because I'm in my nothing phase. So it's like, I'm doing nothing. I don't feel like I don't want to do nothing at all. I'm taking a break. I'm slowing it down, whatever. And yet, it'll be like, so, I did something, small, but that's a big feat, because I'm in my nothing phase. And then in my all phase, I realized that, I need to do better at, and, even if I make small steps, accomplish small things, even though it's in my all phase, I still need to celebrate those things. Right. And so it's just a balance. And like I said, just being very much aware of self. And it's the only way to do that is, y'all know what to do what? What would y'all supposed to be working on 2020? Reflection, self-reflection. If y'all don't say this just about every time that we meet, that we talk, I don't know. I'm doing something wrong if y'all don't say it with me. Self-reflection. Okay. But it's a big deal to make sure that you're aware of your social resume. And that's the best way I could really put it. And then, of course, there comes, spiritual resume. Child, y'all know I got some mess to tell you. Before I get to spiritual resume, I'm gonna stay on social resume, y'all. So I'm aware that I'm good at a little bit of everything. Like when I think of like sports, little known Black history fact about Benia is that I've played quite a few sports, and then even the ones that I didn't necessarily play on a team, right? Like an organized team with or anything. I like took to. So the other, like I said, the ones I didn't play on an organized team that I took to. So like all throughout school, I always loved like tennis, and I like soccer. I feel like in recent days I've learned, recently, like when I was like training with a trainer, so some months ago, that I realized that it takes, much more skill than I had to be good at soccer. But so I don't claim that I'm good at it, but I just naturally, like, I really like, I don't know, feet around with the ball. I think I was clumsy enough and I don't know, uncoordinated enough to where it worked for me to be able to, I don't know, get all around the ball and move it. Anyway, but definitely love tennis. Oh my gosh, I love tennis. Badminton, love those, sports. So again, never played on any teams for them. I'm trying to think of another one that I didn't play on a team, but loved it. All right, I ain't gonna lie. So football's on my mind, right? But listen, before y'all get to judge me, football's on my mind because when I was in elementary school and I went to a couple of them, but the school that I stayed at between kindergarten and fifth grade, right? Which I know you're asking like, well, isn't that all of it? But I don't know about y'all, but as a lot of people I know, so I think it might be a Baltimore thing, I don't know. But as you go to a couple of them, like in the beginning, I guess when your parents were trying to figure it out, that I went to, shout out to St. Bernardine's, period, for I think Head Start, Miss Sugarman, period. And then I went to, oh my gosh, I can't remember. I think this Edgewood for pre-K. Little known Black history fact, y'all. I swear, because I always forget that too. So shout out to Edgewood. But then I went to back then. Let me drop my age on y'all now. Okay, didn't even know that I was just all up and through Park Heights. Okay, coming up. But I went to back then. It was called such a long name for no reason and really didn't even go together. It was called the Rosa Parks St. Ambrose Catholic School. Anyway, so long story short, once there was a name change, because I still remember our gym sweatshirt or our gym t-shirt and sweatshirt, like it was like a round emblem. I think we were the Bulldogs. And it went around. So in the beginning, of course, at Rosa Parks and all of that, I remember it was all like the ashy one. And then when we got the newer ones, all cute, because our colors were like blue and yellow, royal blue and gold, whatever. Then it was, once they did the name change, y'all can guess, well, what was the name change? They went ahead to Rosa Parks right on off the bus. They did. They took Rosa. They did. And they left it at St. Ambrose Catholic School. So that's why if y'all ever see me praying, I always do the sign of the cross. You have to go ahead and mind your business. I don't care. All good and Christian. And I still does. I was about to say does that sign of the cross. I can't help that. Probably have some other like Catholic ways about me, but it's there. Anywho. But while I was there for all the elementary school, then we had like in recess, because we had nothing. We had concrete to play with, and then in the spring and the summertime, honeysuckles that grew up on the vines on the thing that we used to eat. Moving on, that was it. So we made do, and then it was like the boys, they run around, they try to fill up everybody, all the girls, jumpers. I was excited. That was all that was happening. We were on the girl side. So there was the boy side and the girl side. The boy side was smaller. I gotta make sense of all of this, so I have to talk it out loud. But I would go over to the boy side and play football. Like Leave me alone. I don't want to be over here. I'm uncoordinated. I can't do that, but I can get over here and I can run though. I can tell you that. I don't care. So that's why football is like low key on my list, but not really because I guess it's kind of like a team. Not really. Whatever. I was always one of the boys. It doesn't matter. Like naturally, but like all like other sports. So sports that I played is baseball, not even softball. People always try to correct me with that. Like, oh, you mean softball? No, never played softball. Definitely played baseball. It's like the only girl on the team in like a couple years. Anyway, and then what have I played? I've played basketball, like on a team, elementary, middle, and high school. No, not on a team in high school, just in gym. Because I realized that in middle school and high school, child, I just figured that was not my sport. I liked it, loved it, and had like some natural abilities, to be very honest. But I either broke or I definitely sprained my ankle one of the times, and I think I broke it the second time. Like, no, not no whole bone. You can't have this. No, we're not doing that. I should have known then I wasn't going pro, like in anything, in like any sport, because I was not willing to give y'all a bone. I'm not doing that. What do I look like? Wishbone? No. And so what else have I played? Like, I played lacrosse. I was on a band. It is a sport, just like ballet, period. Done both of those. And so all of that to say, like, I naturally had like abilities where, like, looking at me, because I was always thick, so that's not a surprise. And so especially like dance, that's definitely something you will want to look at and be like, okay, look at the thick one. Okay, like I distinctly remember, first of all, I've said this before, that dance really is my true love. Side note, while I'm here, I don't think I shouted it out before. Y'all, please, if you have any brown colored baby anywhere near you, whatever the relationship is, please sit down with them. Just use that as the excuse. If not, catch it yourself on Netflix and catch the I can't believe I haven't known about it all this time. Like, I feel like sick about it. But I was about to say brown skin, that's not what it's called. The Hot Chocolate Nutcracker. Debbie Allen's dance company. Like, it's just a cute little like something to catch and something to watch. I'm telling y'all, it gave me all my feels just for myself, but then knowing that I have a daughter and looking forward to and hoping that she gets into dance and just loves it. Definitely plan to find some mommy-daughter dance classes, because mama gonna get out there and pop lock it too. Now, okay, I get my, first position, second position. Like, I can do this now. Get you some pliés, all right. I was about to mispronounce a few things, so I just cut myself off right there. But I miss it. I love it. Oh my Lord. And so much so though that I had like natural abilities that once I got to high school, rest in peace to the realest person ever to walk the hallways of Western High School, only the best. Miss Goodman. My goodness, Miss Laura Goodman, my Lord, love her down. Anybody that came through Western and met her, knew her, like, loved her. So just, and she was just her. She was her. Like, that was, Lord. And so, y'all forget it. Who is 40 Cal Shorty? Yo, Cutthroat. Who was that on Instagram? I'm sorry. I done gave them a free shout out. Pew. Somebody just started following me on Instagram. Okay, sorry. But I get sidetracked easily. But y'all, so she, when I was in her class, like, and then there was like I guess it was a project or something like that, like of just a collab between her different classes. And she would teach like a bigger, like, choreography, and then we had to present it, or, like if you were selected, and I was selected to move on, because she would say, like, she always called us our last name. So Richardson, like, you, girl, what in the world? So I was supposed to like try for the dance team, but I was in band. So it was like this tug of war thing, but I just knew, like, so it made me feel good because I hadn't been in dance in so long since once I got into high school, and it just felt good. It felt good to like be recognized for something that I knew I was actually good at, because I'll say that being having a natural ability or just being naturally good at a little bit of everything, it does something to you about like where you land your confidence, like which bucket you'll say like, okay, I'm confident that I'm good here. Like my older brother, it's funny that he hasn't said it maybe in the last 2, maybe 3 times that I've seen him or talked to him rather. But usually anytime we talk, you be like, when you gonna get back to hooping, yo? Like, when you gonna get back to balling? Like, I'm just like, in my opinion, I wasn't good. But yet, if I think about it, so either who. So the point is, all of that, right? To say is that, so like with my social resume, I had to realize that I'm honestly like good at a little bit of everything. Socially, that makes me more relatable, and it helps that I'm respectable and respectful, right? Because they go hand in hand. And it allows, like, I think allows such a large body of people to be able to relate to me in some way, shape, or fashion. And I had to, like, talking through my therapy session, talking about like my book. I've been struggling with, finishing my book. I really only have just a few, like I've said before, just a few small chapters to go. Yet I have been struggling with getting it out, getting it done. I think that it would be such a relief and a release for me. And so there's something inside of me, maybe my subconscious, that's just like, no, my Lord, so I relate to, even though I am not this person, especially if you know me, if you know me well, I have to realize I have to start saying that now. If you know me well, that I think that it would be hard for you to even imagine or, fathom me being the person to say like addicted to drama. Like, we will say like, oh, some people, they just addicted to their drama, they addicted to their this. But we have to be so cautious of when we use these big, heavy labels and titles and words casting over people. Because like, it's the same thing. Like when they say you point in and it's four. Okay, right. Do math real quick. Sorry. Four. Okay, or three fingers pointing back at you. Right. It's kind of that same thing. So a piece of that, whatever you're calling that person, you might be able to recognize that in them because it's some part of you in there. I know that's how I operate. That that's why I try to proceed with caution and, maybe voicing my opinion or, offering some advice to anyone, because it's really like, I my gift of discernment. I see this in you, whether if it's, areas for improvement or, good things to highlight. But especially when it's areas of improvement, because that's touchy. And that's, that's a touchy place for anybody, that's trying to heal, maybe have never considered healing or thought they were healing correctly, but then learned that it's more to it or whatever the case may be. And so when you pull that out, I'm that person that can recognize it. Probably because I never put anything. I kind of take a piece back to my original statement of when, like I take a piece of it, with me, some kind of way. Like I feel like I've had every conversation I've ever had for a reason. I've heard or read or saw something on social media or whatever for a reason. Like it was for me, it was a deposit into me, because not everyone, there are billions of people in the world. So not everyone, even on social media, that things are so easily accessible, but not everyone is seeing exactly what you saw. So when you see these different signs, because God will definitely get to you by any means necessary. So I totally believe that he's sending me signs like earlier. Oh Lord, I can't even remember now. I'm gonna just take it as that was a deposit into my spirit because my mind can't recall it. But I remember that in a particular time that I saw back to back earlier today of like different messages saying the different, like pictures or whatever, or messages as in like the words, but relaying the same message, like saying the same thing. So different sayings relaying the same message, I should say that. And so you take heed to that, right? And so your social resume should be that, you not a heater, but a take heater, but you're a listener, you're attentive, you are an active listener, because I know in recent prayers I've asked God to bless my ears, like anoint my ears so that I can really hear from you. Like I really need your guidance to get out of whatever little funk I was in, or I was like on the verge of going into a funk, but whatever. And so it's important for a person like me to explore the few things that I am exceptional at, right? Like, what am I absolutely exceptional at, right? At doing, at performing, at creating, at bringing to, to fruition? What am I exceptional at doing? And once I explore that, then to do that, right? Like, I know I was having this conversation earlier on in the week with my sister, and I know she was saying, like, on her list or on her spiritual resume, social resume would be kind, right? And so, are you kind? Like, it's things like that. Like, if you were to really write out in a resume format things about yourself, not job, experience, not, things like that, but just when you list like your skills and list your objective, like, so your personal life. So maybe I should say instead of your professional resume, it's your personal resume. I keep saying social, but I think of, like, how you interact with others. But your personal resume, what in the world would be on there? Like, because remember, you write it for yourself. You make it, right? Your resume is a reflection, literally a reflection. It is not just a reflection of you, but it is your reflection of yourself for others to look upon. So when you write your professional resume, when you draft that, that is for others to be able to look upon, to see what you've done, what kind of to conclude, what type of person you are because of what you've done, what you do. Sometimes I ask for hobbies and all that. I haven't even looked at most recent. I can do resumes in my sleep, so it's crazy. But I haven't looked up like any like updated resume formats or templates rather. But for the most part, I remember it's still having like hobbies on there if you kind of want to add them, but definitely like skills and acquired certifications, all of that, right? And so, no lie. When I was having this conversation with my sister, and she was like, kind. I forgot how she said it came up. I know somebody like mentioned it, and then it just made her like reflect, right? Love that. Made her reflect. That I was like, I think about me, I will sweep a rug. I am a rug sweeper. Do you hear me? Like, I enjoy sweeping my rug. No kidding. Only have one, well, technically two, in here, but still, like, I will sweep a rug. Like, I used to enjoy, I had this one apartment, I would take all my rugs outside when I'm cleaning, and I feed them, like, the old lady that I am. And I enjoy that. Like, I'm a rug sweeper. That's probably why I use the whole analogy about, not probably, it's definitely why I use the whole analogy about it's time to lift up the rug and sweep from under it, not sweep under it, but sweep from beneath it rather. Because that's exactly what was happening one day. And I always, sweep my rug, sweep around it, sweep under it, I thought. And then so I lift it up and I see like some, some dirt, or more so like some toys. I'm like, what in the world? When did hi Natalie, thank you, beautiful. I have got to be able to take compliments better than that. I'm a child, but I realized that I lift the rug up and it was like, oh my goodness. And so that's why I use that analogy, right? So that I am I guess in addition to my confession last week where I shared with y'all that, baby, I enjoy being home in my nightgown, okay, grooming children. I said it. So I guess my nightgown chronicles, that's that section of the B mix, is that I'm a rug sweeper. Right. So that would be on my resume, because then you get to explore each of those. Like, what if everybody at least attempted to write their own autobiography? Oh, obviously own, but write their autobiography. I don't think I would ever want anybody to write my biography. I say that now. Catch me sometime. But, at the least it's because I'm working on my auto bio, right? And it's because I would want the world to have at their fingertips, the reflection that I have of myself, of things that I have gone through. That's why I know that my auto bio is a sequel, right? Maybe even a prequel. I mean, a threequel, triquel, whatever it is. Because it has to, okay, boom, Benea's been through a whole lot. Like, here's all of that. And then Benea sees it as good and this and that. Like, it has to be like that. And so it's like I've been beating myself up because it's like, I need to finish this. I want to finish this. It is my contribution to, you know, society, to the world. I truly believe, and I honestly, I dream now of like the interviews that I'll have after I publish my book. And not necessarily rehearsing, but, you know, to talk about, you know, where it even came from. And my belief is that as for believers, right? So either current believers, you know, former believers that are hopefully, you know, coming on back, or new believers, right? Those two come, and those that are in the process now, that our, just like the Constitution, that, you know, there are amendments to the Constitution. Now, I ain't gonna go deep into it about, you know, who it's for and all of that. We gotta get that part, right? But just the fact that there's this, you know, very important, very serious, you know, governing document. And then, you know, there comes a time comes along, people are like, hey, some changes need to be made this thing. First of all, I'm not wearing a white wig all the time. It's crazy because now we wear it now, and then they use it. Whatever. History will definitely repeat itself, and then but we look really good in it. Side note, I always love Black people in like white hair. Oh my God. Gray hair on us, white hair. Oh Lord, I love it. It's just, especially when it's naturally, oh Lord. If you are going gray, baby, let that thing gray on up. I know it's always, people always say back, like, well, that's because you have it, or it's from the roots and the forget that. Don't call it nothing. Just leave it. Let the thing come in all patchy. I don't care. It's cute. It's beautiful. Moving on. But you know, like at some point somebody was like, hey, need a little amendment to this thing, need a little change, a little switch up, a little something, a little addition, a little subtraction, a little multiplication, division, something. Enough division was in there. Moving on. So I view that, and that could be from my, you know, like studies of politics and policies and political science. I am a political scientist. I'm gonna work on my winking, y'all. That's why I keep winking on that. But I see the Bible as that. And so our contribution in life as we go on as believers is write your own story as your amendment to the Bible. Because as a true believer, we really have to get out of the way of saying and thinking and operating that, you know, oh, there's no manual to life. Technically there is. And then depending on, you know, which, you know, religion you associate yourself with, you have, now I can't speak for all religions because I know for sure there are like millions of them, or at least thousands of them in India. You know what I mean? So I don't know of each one, but I'm pretty sure that that's how they made them like official, that they have some type of something. So, you know, what's equivalent to their Bible, their Quran, their, you know, the list goes on, right? I believe that all of them have that. If I'm mistaken, I am mistaken. But so our amendment to those is writing our story. So if as a believer in any, you know, respective religion or, you know, denomination that you claim, what set you claim, okay, as far as your spirit is concerned, that there is a governing document, and you know that is your manual, your life manual. Because I love how like my pastor and bishop says often, he's like, you know, the Bible is not a book of suggestions. Like, it's not like it's niggas what you supposed to do. He don't say that. I'm sorry. That's my interpretation. That's my mix. That's my B mix of that. But it's like, niggas what you supposed to do. Like, that's it. That's why you are to read it more and more, because literally it happens just like they say it. Like when we're younger, we don't realize that it really can happen the way that we hear the elders. You know, we've heard the elders talking about that all our lives in church of, you know, if you read it, you know, God will speak to you. He'll make it plain for you as you're reading. Like, not do that. Ain't speaking to me like that, because we're listening for, you know, the fire in the bush and, you know, raw Ramesses, you know, Moses. No, he's talking to you to Benia. He sounds just like this. He didn't put it plain for me, right? And so that's what I'm listening for when we, you know, align ourselves and get ourselves in the right position to be able to hear directly from God, right? So anywho, but I believe, I was going to say he, I believe that, like I said, that it's in order for us to, you know, add to, you know, this life manual, we share our stories. Hence why I firmly believe in, us having platforms like this, but just on a regular, natural basis of just talking to each other, sharing, experiences, putting forth, ideas, scenarios out there, and just sifting through them and figuring it out. Because just in the conversation I was having with my sister, as I was sharing, like, I really enjoy sweeping a rug. She shares that she really enjoys cleaning her bathroom. And like that, okay, like, okay. And then like different nuggets can be dropped on you, like legit in a regular conversation, y'all. The same sister, she called me, my niece and goddaughter, she called me and told me that, she overheard her class and they're learning, like, y'all going to have to forgive me because I really don't care if you judge me about this, but I am, when did she call me? Today's Thursday. I think she called me Monday. So I am 3 days ago old to the information that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s real name or first name or birth name was Michael King. I am behooved, to say the least. It takes me to a place. It definitely takes me to a place. It takes me to a place because we were clearly lied to, and we know this. We know this. I know we've said it, but when you hear the lie, like when you get the truth, and you're like, wow, that is just. We were talking about it again earlier today. She and I, and I'm recalling that we hear all these different stories that they start off, he was born, Martin Luther King Jr. to Martin, like, oh my Lord, the lie is so deep. But so it started making me think of, because I had been really prepared, like these notes, or just figured out which way I was going with this week's show, and to talk about like social or personal resumes. And so even with that, it made me think of like, okay, MLK is actually Michael. Okay. Or MLK Jr. Well, senior too, but okay. So MLK Jr. is actually Michael, right? His social or personal resume might have been different, but we're all aware of that, that resume of MLK Jr., right? So we're not aware of Michael, and I'll do more research to find like when exactly his father changed his name, like what age, but up until then, up until the time that his father changed his name to who we know him to be, he had a resume then. Like, he had a personal resume up until then. So he has a Michael, resume and a Martin. And so I think it's important to understand that whatever your resume might have been, ooh, come on, I feel a word coming. Whatever your resume might have been before, that's what it was before, prior to, in the past, not the present, not the future, but that is up to you to make that a fact, right? To make sure that whatever it is that others might have, so we could talk about a peer resume. How would others rate you? How would others, how do others perceive you? It is important. That is your B tip of the week. Okay? How others perceive you is, I'm not going to say equally as important, but it does hold some significance. The misunderstanding is that, people will say, and have said it for so long, that, oh, I don't care what people think about me. And da, da, da. Okay. And that's supposed to equate, confidence and, I hold my head up high and all that. That's cute, but that's not authentic. It's not, right? What is authentic is understanding that you can very much so have, confidence in yourself. Because if anything, let me go back, that mind frame, that psyche, is arrogance. And that's where, so we all know that too much of anything can be a bad thing. So even too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, right? And so you can have confidence when it tips over and becomes too much confidence, then it's arrogance. Okay. And so you want to stay at, confident. That's fine, right? So that's why I think last week is when I touched on a little bit of this too, of saying that we have to be careful. I just know I've said it in the past of like, have to be careful of, when we say one thing that society makes it seem like it completely negates the other. So if I just look in the mirror, even if I'm in a room, full of women, beautiful women, right? Especially if they're Black, period. Justice for Breonna Taylor, by the way. Don't ever forget that I believe that. And I happen to look in the mirror and, just walk past myself, whatever, catch myself and be like, I am beautiful. That's not for all the other women in the room to be like, so what? I'm not beautiful. I'm not pretty. Like, that is dumb. That is stupid. That is dumb. And it is stupid. It is stupid as well as it is dumb. I don't know how else to put it. Okay. It's very dumb that's the way that we operate as a people, as a society. Like, as soon as I say one thing, right? Isn't that what we're fighting about? That we say Black Lives Matter and they want to believe that we're saying that their lives don't matter. No, it's because y'all have been making us feel like our lives do not matter. So we are just making the sole and firm statement of Black Lives Matter. That's it. Not saying that nobody else's lives matter. We're just saying, like I said before, I think I said this on here. If not, I've said it elsewhere. Like, maybe we should add comma also, period, to the phrase. Black Lives Matter also. Or Black Lives Matter too. I don't know, because y'all like to put that TO when it's supposed to be TOO, because TOO equates to also. So I don't really want y'all to mess that up a lot. So I'd rather just use also. But we'll have an English class or something, y'all. We're gonna do something. We're gonna get us together, y'all, because the capital really, God, y'all told me up with that one. I ain't lying. Y'all told me up with the CAPITOL. Okay. Capital, nation's capital. That's what that is. OL. I digress. But so it's about the fact that, whatever, like I said, your previous social or personal resume might have been, and even what your, like I said, a peer-to-peer resume might have been. If you've ever been in school, you didn't have to just go to college to experience this of, okay, you finished, you take your test, now give it to the person next to you. Everybody give it to the person to the right of you. We're going to grade them, give you all the answers, you grade it. So that's, peer-to-peer, assessment or grading. I don't know, something. I forget how they put it in a cute little way, but either way, right? So peer-to-peer something. And so, it will be the same thing as far as a resume. Like, well, how do your peers perceive you? What do they think of you? What would they, not even just what do they think of you? Because we all know it's one thing to think of it, but once you put it on paper, it makes it, it solidifies it. It makes it that much, realer, more real. And so, what would somebody put on paper about you? I care about, even now in my living days, that I believe that I'm, alive and well right now. I'm pretty sure that I'm alive and well tomorrow and for a good little, good amount of days to come, right? But I still consider like what people will have to say about me when my day comes and I go to glory. Like, what will they really reflect back and say about me? Because I have been totally misunderstood. Hence why I open up the show with, and I probably will actually start leading with, for the misunderstood. I think I've left that out way too many times in my intro. But that's really who this show is for. Like, it is just to talk things through of the people, like of where you are in your thoughts, that you just feel like don't nobody get me. Like, I just don't understand. And that can be a very lonely place. But you are not alone. Okay. I promise, like, legit, I am here with you, because I really, truly believe that I am the most misunderstood person on the face of this earth. Like, like for real. Just because that's just how my life has been. So much so that what was that? Okay, sorry. I was trying to slide through. So that let me say the good in this first. The good is that God is really reconciling families in this season. I am seeing this and living this myself, like right now. And it does not necessarily, let me tell you this, it does not only refer to biological family. So family by blood, it doesn't just mean that. It means whomever you have deemed as your family, who has withstood the times that you have faced, that the world has faced, that we're currently facing now. Whoever your family is, he's reconciling them. And I think that what needs to be very clear is that there is, I keep saying misconstrued and misunderstanding, but there's a misinterpretation of when, even like, say, if you're in church and you hear like someone praying about, pray for, family reconciliation and all that. So you automatically have a picture in your mind. And so this goes back to why we as a society and especially as a Black, community have this, I don't know, I keep using the word, I guess that's the word for the night, misconstrue. We misconstrue the idea of like something just because that's what we have a picture of. Like if I say to you, especially to anybody in Baltimore, if I say, a girl from over West, like you might automatically just somehow get some picture in your head, or at least one person that that fits that description, and then that's the representation for it all. And that is something that we as a people have to get out of. We have to adopt the concept of case by case, scenario by scenario, situation by situation. That is the way that I live, breathe, and eat and sleep and operate. Like my whole life, everything is case by case. I am forever in my mind, like exploring, endless possibilities. So I know that if somebody says one thing here, that's why I need clarity. I need clarity. I think that if we think that way to a certain extent, that it would force us as a people to speak more precisely and with more clarity, and more, that would promote and encourage a higher sense of certainty. It's important, is what we need. We are such an uncertain people, and I get why though. Like our history and just chat. And so it's the idea of shoot y'all. My thoughts are that's what gives me a sleepy. Oh, so I was saying of reconciling families, that we get I've always gotten an idea of like, you hear like, oh, we're praying for family reconciliation. You think of there's the prodigal son. So that's the son that just went off and, had to find his way and figure his stuff out and come back. Or you just think of, physical distance, right? As we are now, socially, physically distanced from our loved ones and associates and friends and things like that. And all types of people, right? But reconciliation isn't necessarily that. And I'll tell you why. Because the family that I'm referring to is that we've been around each other, like quite often, or often enough. But yet there was definitely a moment of reconciliation for us very recently. I think it was like Monday of this week. And it's crazy because I was like about to get into my little feels about something that had nothing to do with that. And I got the random phone call, and it was asked like to have this talk. And it started off with me like wanting to be like, I'm like not in this place. Like I wasn't asked if I was, even open to have a conversation, to hash something out. But okay, I was like, I'm just hearing it. So, okay, I'll give it a chance. And that is important. That goes back to the episode when we were talking about just the blessing and the choice right then and there, the blessing and the choice to let it go, because I really could have been, I could have chosen to be bent out of shape of, I could have just let everything, there was a lot of dumping out in the beginning, like for me to just a lot of information for me to take in initially. And I could have chosen, if I wanted to be nasty and bitter about it, could have chosen to be like, okay, like I've done it, like, okay, and just be like, all right, and hang up, like respond to nothing, let them feel like, they got everything out, but that's not closure. That's not how you work through things. Right. And so I chose to, just pull myself out of my little place where I was in, to take on the fact that we're talking about, something that even, once it was like all brought out, like it bothered me. And then so to be able to talk that through, and I was like proud of myself for that. And so the reason why I say that, it's reconciliation, because it was like I said, we were not necessarily physically apart, physically distanced, but something there spiritually, emotionally, as far, and I say intellectually, which doesn't mean, because everyone has like intellect, so that doesn't mean like smarts or brains, or that's not what I'm saying. But intellectually, as far as like the way we think, I absolutely am very clear that there's no one on this earth that thinks the way that I do. I know that. And talk about a lonely place, but it is what it is. And so I just, instead of me, like, all for a lot of my life, I view that as like a negative thing. Like, I just want somebody to understand me. So one of the best compliments that I, ever received was like, "Oh my God, you appreciate the way I think?" Like, my brain, for real? Like the stuff I say in my mouth, because some of that is what is up here, but it ain't all of it. But, and then sometimes it don't connect when it comes from here to out. Okay. And you just appreciate it. I appreciate you, right? So definitely one of my favorite compliments. It's a rare one, but when I get it, I'm like, and so we were distanced on all those different levels. And to be able to, and it's been a prayer of mine, like, and that is just, I can feel it and see it like being fused together. Of course, every good thing takes work. So of course, there's more work to do. And I'll say that in times like these, be very mindful and cautious of, I'll go as far as saying like of cautious of the enemy, like trying to use, because I know that you ever have something where like, say separately, say out of an argument, right? So an argument, then you be like, afterward, you be like, dang, I could have said this. That would have been, that would have been good. So not necessarily that, because this is exactly how I was trying to explain it to my therapist earlier, but not necessarily that, but it was something like I know the enemy is trying to make my brain go back to that conversation and be like, you should have said this more, like more of this, or, been firm here and said that. And then I've just dismissed it like, no, like all what was said right then and there was what needed to say. Because if anything, while everything is being dumped on me, knowing how I was already like feeling, and I was like in a place of like, I wanted to just put what I was feeling out of my mind, like prior to the call, and just enjoy, like it was supposed to have a good, like watch a movie with Sydney, with my daughter, and then we were just gonna go to bed. And that didn't work out that way. So I had to like, I really just had to like say a little, like prayer, like in that moment while everything was being dumped out, because I needed help to be able to be present in that conversation. I'm telling y'all right now, like if you're not talking to God on regulars like that, like something that you would want to think is small, like just small, but it's a major thing. And just like, Lord, help me with this conversation. Help me with this. And it doesn't, you don't have to be nasty about it. Like it doesn't mean a nasty thing, because it didn't mean like, oh, I don't want to talk to them, or, oh, I don't want to talk about this. But I just had to put myself there, because I wasn't initially. When I said hello, I was not there, especially once it was, clear to me that it was like a conversation that, was being requested to be had. Like, okay, not at this place. But I'm telling you, like such a beautiful feeling out of all of us that were on the call, like at the end of it, like so good, so happy. And that I believe like there's more work always, because I know that it dawned on me. So again, of like my social and personal resume of that, there's definitely misconstrued yet again. There's a misinterpretation of me that I am very vocal. No. I said when I started the show, it was a time for me to unmute. And that's exactly what that means, that I have muted myself more. And as much as people have observed and witnessed me speak out and talk out and take up for other people and this and that, sometimes for myself maybe, but really not as much as I definitely should have throughout my lifetime. I can be sure to tell you that like more times than that has it been where I've muted myself, like just for many, many, many reasons of always knowing like people don't think like me. So what I'm about to say, like I really want to be vocal like other people always can feel it's a thing about me. Hence why I felt like it was just time to, take advantage of a platform like this to create a space where people feel okay to just dump their stuff out or to listen to me ramble on about talking about my stuff, and just be like, oh, wow, I'm not by myself. Like I thought the same thing. Child of, like just getting it out, because that's never been me. Like I've muted myself for just many different reasons. Of if I feel like I'll definitely choose to mute myself if I feel like the environment is not created, and it's not a healthy enough environment for me to pour out my stuff. I will not. I will choose not to. And the thing is, though, is that I do it in a way, and not even I'm thinking about it, like it is legit. Like I can't even say second nature. I think it's my first nature, that in a way that you would just never know. So you wouldn't know. Like I've said before, there's some people that don't really know that I hate them. And it's crazy because when I was like a BITCH a little bit, maybe like in high school or whatever, it's apparently at some point in middle school, but according to some friends, but I don't really believe it. But whatever, that I would make it known if I didn't like you had to know it, right? So it was either that, so it's 1 or 100, I don't know, right? So at the time, like I can be civil, like I could have made sure that you knew that I did not like you for whatever reason, but yeah, I can be very civil, kind, sweet, all of that. Like for what? I'm not about to, like, I just want to be clear that one good time. Other than that, okay, like. If I see you in need or something, that's you that is going to be in your mind to be like, oh no, I don't want Benny to help me because she doesn't like. Okay, that doesn't mean I want ill. I wish ill upon you. That doesn't mean I don't want good for you. I just might not like you, especially if I thought I had a reason. But I have grown up, so excuse me, none of that matters. But again, that's on my social resume, and so I have been told, and even in this conversation was told, like it was assumed that I speak up in the Senate third, and I had to be very vocal about not being as vocal as people believe that I am. And it's usually 9 times out of 10 because I feel like this ain't either isn't the right time, environment, space, other people's head space. Like I don't like to wait. People say I don't like to waste my time. I don't like to waste my words. That's on my social resume. Definitely on my personal resume. I don't like to waste my words. And so it's why I say that, going back to the point of, your past or your previous resume, whatever might have been on there, remember with your professional resume, it's always, one, it's good to have different, we might get more into this, and I'm thinking it through, that it's good to have, different versions of your resume, right? Depending on, what you're applying to and all that, who you're sending it to, what the objective is, yada, yada, yada. Even though the new age ones, I know they've taken off objective. I always love that. I don't care. I don't think they should be taken off of them. I get it because people would just tell something that sounds good, but it still tells you something about somebody. But either who. But about like updating them on a regular basis, right? Things change about you. That's you maintaining awareness about yourself. Things change about you. And because they do, that's where you can't concern yourself. So remember we talked about, that's why I said it's the right and wrong way to do everything, because this going to sound like I'm contradicting what I said a little while ago, which is, that we say we can't worry about what other people think of us, right? That's exactly what I meant. What I'm now saying is that you cannot concern yourself with that. We talked about that, the difference that I said, that I came to the conclusion that I used to concern myself with other people's stuff and things and whatever. And that wasn't the case. I can care, but it's not my place or business to concern myself with, what you think of me. I could care about it. And that means I'm taking some of it in, because it's like, well, if they think I act this way, or if I am this way, then I should consider that, and just try to see. And I've done that plenty of times. So there are instances, this portion is for the person that feels like, you might have heard so many different things about yourself. Like I know there's the joke of like, people will be like, oh, I know I'm so nice, but my friends gonna tell me that I'm mean. Okay, all that's cute to y'all. It's not to me. I can really be a party pooper in my mind. That's why I don't say a lot of stuff. But it's not cute just because of like the mindset of, like there are actually people out here like me, like where I've heard like, oh, it's your delivery, or I don't like the way you said something, or this or that. And it'll be like, and it's very rare, very seldom that I've been able to have a follow-up conversation with people to be like, you know what, it actually wasn't your tone. It wasn't you. Like it was the way I received it, this and that and this and that. So where even though in the meantime, I've checked it and tried to check myself of like, okay, is it me? Do I work on me? Do I change things about me? So you can take heed as far as like interpret what somebody has said, right? But you don't have to necessarily digest it and right. Well, I was going to say eat it and digest it, but you don't have to necessarily digest it. You can take it in and just bring it up here and think about it. But then once you realize like, oh, this might be something to change myself, then that's what you need to digest. Everything else you spew out. And so when I realized like this doesn't pertain to me, like so many stories of things that went so far left that I know initiated with me being, calm, level-headed, sober, like anything that you could think of that would have thrown something off. And so there are instances where, because I know automatically people are like, well, if more than one person has told you, then it must mean that you have to change it. And no, not necessarily. There are people and there are instances out here hence why I say that we have to get to a place of exploring like endless possibilities, because it is possible. I hate when I hear people tell stories of like, why would I do this? Because there are people out here that would. Why do you expect people to obviously like to know the in and out of you so much if you're not real with yourself, but even if you are, that's just like, how for so long, of course, and it's the same thing for me. So I know my analogy sometimes can be wild, but it's the same thing as far as like us growing up that, Black men, especially, were told, obey the police and this and that and this and that. And so even if they did, you cannot automatically assume just because something went haywire, something went left, especially nowadays that we're seeing it all televised, right? And on cameras and all, of people losing their lives at the hands of, police authority, right? We can't assume like, oh, they must have said something smart. Oh, they must have did this. That's what my family thinks of me, of when the police beat me like I was a man, like, and it's so far left, like not at all, like not at all. You know what I mean? So we have to understand that, whatever we have in mind may not necessarily be it. It is possible that whatever you're thinking, whatever you see in your head, that the picture could be totally different. It could mimic that and be a little different, a little off, or it doesn't even mean off. It just means a little different. Just because it's different in what you imagine it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Different doesn't mean wrong, but that has that negative connotation. So we just try to stay from that word. So much so that I really don't even, I don't even find myself like stressing over like just other stuff, like other people's stuff, when I can tell that it's their stuff that they're dealing with. Prime example. This gonna be a continuation of next week. I can already see that now. So I'm gonna tell you why, because I'm gonna start a story and I don't think I'm gonna finish it. Oh no. Before I get to the story, because I know I'm not gonna be able to finish it. So all in all, with my revelation that I came to in therapy is that I give more attention to situations where it appears that I've offended someone, as long as the scenario actually happened. It may not be the instance, like, or the way they recall it, or even the way I recall it. Well, if they're offended, then, obviously just the way they recall it. It may not have happened exactly like that, or it could have been more to the story, which is usually 9 times out of 10. Like, it's so crazy to experience something with people and, they're just gung-ho or hell-bent over it. And I know that they wouldn't know, but I'm in my mind, like, you have no idea how many times I've sat in this seat, like how many times this has been brought to me. And it's because somebody, got offended over something I said when I didn't mean it that way. But in a regular, normal scenario and setting, you don't say, oh, I'm saying this because you said it. Like, nobody thinks, especially me as an nope, I got away from calling myself an overthinker, especially me as a thinker. See how I won't even talk certain stuff over myself anymore? Take note to that. That I said a while ago that I would not refer to myself as an overthinker anymore. I am a thinker for sure. And so, like I'll be thinking like in the time of a hot seat, I'm sitting there thinking like, here I go again, like sitting here, and people have no idea how many times I've sat right here, right? Because just like people don't know, people in my life that are close in my life have no idea how much I am for them, for each of them respectively. They have no idea of how much I am for so many other people in my life, just as much as I am for them. Like, I am a lot for a lot of people, and that's what sometimes sucks for me. That's why I don't know. It's not even, I don't know. It's the God in me that allows myself to be like, okay, let's mute for a second, or let's pause, or let's be calm about this, because I don't know, like, instead of being like, oh, I'm so much for other people, so screw you, all right, whatever. Like, no, because I'm authentically, something to other people. I don't, and it's crazy because I guess in the times of my life where I wanted to believe that I, saw people as easily disposable, like clearly not, right? Or I was selective. I've always been selective. And so the people that are in my life that mean something to me, like I would or do, I give my all to, and give my all for. And so it sucks, like, when I find myself in like that, oh Lord, I go being misunderstood again. Like, here you go. Just never end the story. But like I said, my revelation in therapy was that I realized that as long as the scenario actually happened, at least the situation at hand actually happened, may not be how it happened, but that it actually happened. It's something that either one of the parties can recall. I have learned, and it's like I just said this for the first time, today during therapy, that I now see why I give my energy to it, why I, that innate thing in me that'll calm my own spirit to be like, okay, I'm balling up. Like, I'm looking over at my sofa. I was on my sofa at the beginning of that conversation where everything was being dumped out to me, and how offended they were, and, how offensive rather that I was, and, and this, and, hurt by this, and this one thing I said, and and I'm sitting there like, okay, and I'm like, my skin is heating up. I begin to shake, like, because some of it is with fury, because it's like, bruh, people can always find it easy to speak out, and not against, but toward Benia, like, and somehow, hey, Jazzy, like, at least somebody can relate. I appreciate you. But like, I got hot, like, just even think about it, like, legit. And it sucks. But I also realized that, again, like the something in me, the God in me, the innate ability, the something that allows me to calm myself in a moment like that, and to take time and to give it the energy to try to figure it out, to try to reach some point of clarity. It really comes from my past experiences, all of that, honestly, with my mother. And I've mentioned before that, it's just been a lot of instances where there were like things that were made up. And I've been reprimanded for things that literally did not happen, like, just did not. And so, and it sucks because there's a process for everything. So whereas that's like in the negative, so being reprimanded or accused of whatever, things that did not happen is in the negative. So then a step up to bring me into the positive is at least, the many times in my life where people bring up something that actually like happened that they can refer to. So I'm like, all right, at least it happened. So I'm giving the energy, but now it's from me, as I am, as we about to close out of here, going back to this, as I am shifting, right? Like I said with the promo, as I am shifting, that I'm now learning not to because it talks about like tolerating, right? So it says you will begin to as you are shifting, you will begin to realize you are not the same person you used to be. Bingo, that's me. Hope that's you too. The things you used to tolerate have become intolerable. So now I'm realizing that, okay, the step up all this time, and I'm 30, going on 31 years old. So all this time, at least for the past like 10 years, has been that, okay, again, at least it actually happened. So I can deal with that. I can work through that. But then now to step up from that and shifting, right? You want to shift forward, or, shift in a better direction. So in shifting and bettering myself and becoming better, the best version of myself is the goal, is to make sure that now that's like, okay, that's the bare minimum. Like, okay, it's something that happened, but now it's about clarity. Like I'm not going to just tolerate, because at least in that conversation, which was so good, I'm very proud of myself for just finally like speaking up, because I mentioned that, like I said, I muted myself, right? And it'd just be like, because, just laundry list of becauses. And I'd like spoke on situations before, like, that's good, Jazzy. So Jazzy said they see it and try to bring you down. And a lot of times in the past, for sure, that is absolutely. In one of the sections of my book, I had to like explore some of those things that like people will use that and try to bring you down with that. And then the crazy part is though, like I said, about exploring endless possibilities is that sometimes they're not necessarily trying to bring you down, or at least not intentionally. I'll say like this is family, you know what I mean? And like chosen family at that. So, you know, it's something about family that you choose to be your family. And so I don't necessarily believe it was to bring you down, but I think they just didn't realize, and it's them learning me. And that's why I say like something about like a personal resume that, you know, so that way you're able to check off is what you see about yourself. Can others actually check that same list off? Could you play one of those games? What was that game? I'm thinking like Newlyweds. I guess we'll just go with that. Newlyweds, where, you know, they give the answers and try to see if it's the same. Like, could, you know, other people in your close circle, could they play the Newlywed game with you about what's on your personal resume? And if not, then there's definitely just some work to do. And obviously, it starts with creating your own personal resume of just who you are as a person, what your skill set is, where it came from. So then it really draws you into kind of writing, you know, a novel for each thing. Like, oh, I'm this way because, ooh, child, da da da. I'm this way because this great thing happened and it helped me to become like, it goes and it goes. And so let's see. Oh, so it's I know I mentioned because then we know that the misinterpretation, things that are being misconstrued crosses it crosses between generations, right? And so when we talk about bridging the gap in different areas, different ways, no matter what type of work you do, you've at least heard bridging the gap somewhere, some kind of way. At least I have a million times in all the roles and positions that I have held and sat in. And so when we talk about bridging the gap, though, as far as like and tying it into like your personal or social resume, what's the bridge you're building inside of yourself? Like where are you filling the gap? So like a prime example that I as a prayer warrior, right? As someone clearly selected to, you know, carry people in prayer and to stand in the gap, meaning that, you know, you're standing, you know, or I'm standing proxy, and it means that you're standing in the gap and standing, you know, for the people that are in need of prayer that may not necessarily know how to, they may not know who to pray for, who to pray to, how to pray to, may not know what to pray, just they may not know who, what, when, where, how, and why to pray. And so you are praying for those people and for their situations, right? You know, you see it all the time. People are like, oh, pray for me. Keep me lifted in prayer, child. So people like me and just many other people on this earth that are, you know, selected and chosen to pray for others, which really could be any and all of us. Like you can absolutely pray for others. But, you know, we do learn that there's some that, like I know for sure my late great like adopted grandmother, Mama Hayes, shout out to her, definitely somebody that got a prayer through, and just the sweetest thing you could ever imagine, like this wide, you hear me? Just this wide. Hey, you just wrap your arms around her a million times, but could definitely get a prayer through. And I knew that all the way back when I would take naps on her plastic covered sofa. Like I knew that way back when. So I know for sure. So God rest her soul. I know exactly where she went. Amen. But you know, it's like, so when we talk about standing in the gap and bridging that gap, how are you bridging the gaps that reside within you? Like where are they? Where are they? Why do they exist? How did they get there? What are you doing to close them up? The bridging the gap either means that this gap is going to remain, but there's some way to get from one side of it to the other, or to close these gaps. Okay. Are you going to go put braces on the gaps, not in your teeth, but in your soul, in your spirit? Are you going to the spiritual dentist to get these braces put on in order to close these gaps up? How long are you, where are you in that process? How long do you foresee that process being in order to close these gaps for you or to bridge these gaps? I don't know really much about braces at all, but I think there's something in there called a bridge or something. But either way, braces. So, you know, what is it that you're doing in your own self? So, in the same token, don't allow one bad anything erase all the good that God has done in your life. That is most certainly your B tip of the week. That's your B tip of the year. I might staple it and say it every episode this year. I'm not sure. Don't you dare allow one bad thing, not one bad pandemic, and it's pretty bad. I get it. Don't get me wrong. But don't you dare allow this to erase all the good that God has done. Not one bad day, not one bad year, one bad season in your life, or anything else in between. Don't you dare allow, and I mean, I know even so, if we think of the social unrest, right? Instance after instance, occurrence after occurrence, unfortunate. Okay. So there were right before, justice for Breonna Taylor, there have been so many other, just situations, whether they, mirrored, her murder or not, either way, just of seeing, the lives of our fellow skin folk, brother and sisters, right, losing their lives at the hands of who was sworn in to, by oath to protect and to serve us. It and it's a tough one to take in and try to make sense of it, but it still is as it currents. Like it's don't you let one, when one happens, don't you let that erase all good that is to come, that has been, that still is in current times, right? There is always some good because God still exists in all of it. And so it is the journey of life is for you to find that. So at least if you spend, because I won't say waste, if you spend your time and energy finding the good in life as you matriculate through, so as you move through life, I can almost guarantee you that you'll have a good life at the end of it, because at least you were in search of the good, because that spoke to your belief and your hope and your faith in the fact that there was good even in the midst of it all, right? So don't you dare allow one bad anything, even if, like I said, there are different occurrences that come up and be like, well, it was 7 of them, so can I erase all the good now? No, because then there were 70 more things that were good before, during, and after. Like, no. That's what I meant by just saying, like, when we think about the social unrest and things, like, don't allow, they stormed the Capitol, got it. The good end is that we're able to kind of sit back. And if I can speak to that for 1 minute, and we definitely want to spill over into next week all about this, because I got some more notes. And not even a lot of them. It's crazy. Usually I have a lot more notes, but either way, we're just talking through this. But there, when we talk about like storming the Capitol and us watching and all that, there's some of the good in it is that we're able to obtain a perspective, whether if it's new for some or just different perspective. This is how I'm sure white people have been able to look onto stuff that we've dealt with, even though they created it for us. Okay. But they've been able to watch our stuff as we, kill each other and, just do other things toward each other, not so good, that they're able to look at, things happen to us and just not care. Because watching everything about the Capitol, I mean, have you lost sleep? Did you lose sleep when you heard about, the Confederate king or Captain Confederacy, turning himself into federal police? No. So there is some good and just about all of it. So either who, I've learned that people will really think a way of me that that can be so far away from who I am. And so it is on me to know exactly who it is that I am and to stand firm in that. I want you to do the same. Until next week, be the mix that you are. Feel free to do that over and over again. I love you. Peace. I love this one.